All right, so let's go to Benjamin. He is on Skype. And by the way, you can Skype us at username LRN.FM. Benjamin in California, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd also like to express my appreciation for the live updates. I was following on Freaking on Facebook, and I was able to, from California, to see what was going on while at work. And I guess I'm not terribly surprised Rich was convicted, because I have no faith in juries.
That's because you've been in front of a jury that convicted you of some BS.
Well, and I have no respect for the law. If I'd gladly break laws, whatever. So I was amazed that I was convicted having not broken the law. And that's why I'm also even not surprised that Rich Paul got convicted of selling acid or LSD or whatever when he didn't, because that doesn't matter to juries. They don't care. I was really also surprised by how many people were surprised. I'm following on the Facebook for Freaking, and people were seemed shocked.
Yeah,
and
the shocked, outrage, sorrow.
I understand it. I get why. You want to believe that your fellow human beings will act with compassion towards their fellow man. But the whole legal system and all of the terrible things that go on within it, and the government and their scariness, all of that changes how human beings react. All of these people would probably stop to, assist somebody who was, injured on the side of the sidewalk or whatever. But in the case of the legal system, they just do whatever it is that they're told to do by a man in a robe.
And the compassion aspect is actually taken up by the judge. The judge does the sentencing. In New Hampshire, I mean, every state's different.
Yeah.
But in the jury is just told, look, all your job is to read the law, figure out whether or not this guy's guilty based on the law, and it took nothing. Essentially, Rich basically said he broke the law, so it's not like these people had a tough job or anything in that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just doing what they're told.
Well, Ian, you were saying, you want to believe. Yeah, I like to believe, the best in people. I have a saying I use all the time, which is most people are mostly good about most things most of the time. But, that leaves leeway for people to suck.
Yeah, and they're just not good at being jurors. I mean, they're just, people are susceptible to groupthink and group influence. I mean, there's plenty of scientific studies that have shown this to be the case. They're susceptible to suggestion from authority or from the people that they perceive to be authority. So you combine those two things together, you've got a system that uses authority against people, and it uses groupthink against people, and they're just striking out.
It goes to the Milgram experiments, and you put somebody in a lab coat, and they tell you to push the button, and you push the button. But okay, go back a week ago, before the trial even started. What percentage chance did you think that jury nullification would work in this case?
5%.
I mean, playing the odds. Exactly. That's why I'm shocked that people are shocked. Yeah, it's possible. Sure, it could happen. It's not like a unicorn popping in front of us right now.
Right.
But it's really unlikely, and that's why I'm shocked that people think being surprised.
I'm sorry. I don't think people should. I don't think you should be surprised that people are shocked, because people that have liberty as a goal in life and actually work towards that. What a ridiculous idea. I mean, we're all stuck in this world where everything is coming down on us, the government and the authority, the judges and all these people trying to tell us what to do, and everyone else around us is going, yeah, you better do what you're told. And we're saying, no, we're going to change the world. We're going to find freedom. We're going to make freedom. So in reality, all of us who are acting towards attaining more liberty are all crazy.
Right. This is absolutely true. This advocation for freedom that we have taken up, advocation for freedom that we have taken up, it's a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea. The fact is that you'd get along far better in life by sucking it up, pretending like you love the system and just going forward rather than constantly being sand in the gears.
Well,
it's not that valuable. Ian and I, we could do a much more valuable radio show from a dollars and cents wise, I guess I should say, a more profitable radio show, if we would just go along and do, maybe the small government, conservatarian kind of show out there. We could have a little different shtick. We're young. That's our shtick, right? We would do fine. Believe me, we would do fine out there. Get big old paychecks if we just do it. But instead, we run along the margin of profitability here at Free Talk Live in order to bring people a show that's really about liberty.
Well, and I completely appreciate that. I've had people ask me, why are you wasting your time with this stuff? And to a certain degree, I totally get it. I don't want to waste my time in California. Screw Californians. But this goes to a point my mom was talking to me about, which is jury nullification is the thing that will only be viable once people move to New Hampshire in large numbers.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And if you want to share more, you're welcome to stand by 855-450-FREE. That's the SACL CAI toll-free line. I agree with your assessment. It's crazy to love liberty and actually do something about it. It's easy to love liberty and just keep your mouth shut and maybe tell some close friends. More coming up. This is Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live, toll-free number 855-450-FREE. Also, Skype us. Username there for you, LRN.FM. Once again, you can join us at 855-450-FREE. Free Talk Live is brought to you by the Free State Project. What happens when you bring a bunch of crazy libertarians all together to the same place? Well, we're finding out. And it definitely is not a cakewalk. And I don't think that anybody should think that, it's going to be. But as you get more people together who love the ideas of freedom and who are actually willing to do something about it, you start to see things happen that have never happened before, like people standing up for themselves or people running for political office who love liberty and actually getting elected to political office.
It's like the price of Bitcoin. It has its ups and downs, but
Sure.
Overall it's heading upwards.
Overall, it's a huge thing to be involved in this movement. I'm so grateful to be here, and I'm glad that I could be there to support Rich Paul as he faces still 81 years in prison. The sentencing has not occurred at this point. But I'm glad I could be there, too, and continue to support him, even though he's already behind bars awaiting sentencing. They would not let him out on bail because he had some previous convictions for some minor stuff like possession and obstructing government administration.
I would like to point out, not that I think that there's any once a person's sentenced, I don't have the philosophical issue with locking them up that I do before they're sentenced. I mean, there's a huge industry in this country of locking people up before they're sentenced. People that should be considered by the law to be not guilty, innocent until proven guilty, as it were, presumed innocent until proven guilty. But I just didn't. I guess I didn't expect him to be out or anything like that. But he did say, interestingly, some people suggested you should run, Rich. You should just run to Mexico. And he said, "No way. I'm not going anywhere." And I don't think he would have gone any. If they did let him out, I don't think he would have.
freestateproject.org. You don't have to do civil disobedience. This is not a civil disobedience movement. Not everybody has to take it to the wall like Rich Paul did in this particular case. You can do much safer things like writing letters to the editor, talking to your neighbors, going to your church dinners or whatever it is that you enjoy doing.
Actually, what makes the movement so strong is the fact that there are lots of different people with different personalities and different interests, because each person with a different interest, if they focus on that interest, they can be very strong and effective with that thing. So it is actually important to have people up here that want to do different things, and I encourage people to do that.
And that's what's happening. Benjamin is one of the future movers of the Free State Project, and some family members are going to be coming with you. Benjamin, you said you are giving up on California.
Well, I gave up on California a while ago as far as thinking that, significant political change could take place. It's wasted. But my thought was, as far as jury nullification, I mean, the one clear case of jury nullification I can think of is the Rastafarian who was cultivating and was found not guilty.
That's one in New Hampshire. There's another one in Massachusetts with our friends Pete and Adamo from copblock.org. They were nullified on their wiretapping charges down there.
Well, didn't in the case of the Rastafarian, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there a Free Stater on that jury?
That is correct. Yep.
So my thinking is, until there is a significant portion of the jury pool of New Hampshire who believe in jury nullification, I don't know that it's a worthwhile strategy. I mean, I think it's great to talk about it and to try to get people on board.
Sure, but how are you going to know until you take it to trial? How are you going to know what jurors are going to think until you go in front of a jury?
You won't, but I mean, you can do polling on, hey, have you ever heard about jury nullification?
Hey, that's a cool idea. I hope you can come here and do some polling, because that's certainly something that's never been done.
But think about this. If just off the top of your head, what percentage of the people in Keene know about jury nullification?
I don't know. That's a good question. I can tell you, if you've been to a jury in Keene, you've heard about it, because we stand out front of the courthouse.
Look, these jurors knew about jury nullification because the defense attorney told them about it.
And the prosecuting attorney.
I don't care whether they know about jury nullification or not. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is if they have the spine to stand up and do something about it. And I don't find that human beings are particularly good at this. There's the rare human, and I don't know if they're 1 in 20 or 1 in 100 or 1 in 1,000, but that is able to sort of psychologically stand up in their own mind. Now, I think that different people can do it in different situations, and if the jury trial was over different things, then perhaps they'd be more likely to do it. But when it comes to these no victim, no crime kind of situations, it doesn't have the moment. It doesn't have close to the momentum here in New Hampshire, and I think that the best thing about the don't take the plea argument is that it makes the prosecutor give more options. It makes them give.
You usually get a better plea later on,
right?
Hey, Benjamin, thanks for the call, man. Appreciate hearing from you tonight.
On his potential 81 years, was offered 0 years the day before the trial and turned it down. That would have been when I was, taking that particular deal. But who's to say that
I'm sure most people would have.
Yep. Who's to say that I would have had the spine to even make it to that point where I got the 0 years?
Yeah, I mean, that's the way I see it. It seems like when people get that unbelievable plea deal, it's at the very last second, which means they're like totally, they're all in. And
now, this only works long enough. This will only work if few enough people do it, by the way. Right. Once enough people say, well, I'm waiting until the last day, that's when the prosecutors will say, well, now I know how this game goes, and they're going to change up how they offer
Well,
deals.
I got a pretty sweet plea deal when I was looking at trespassing charges, the trespass charge that ended up being found unconstitutional. I got a pretty sweet plea deal on that one, and I have to say, it was tempting. I could have walked away from that with a violation instead of a misdemeanor and a suspended fine of $250, and then I wouldn't have, had a misdemeanor conviction, and I wouldn't have faced 9 more months in jail because I've got a suspended sentence, and if I get convicted of a misdemeanor, then they can bring back my suspended sentence, and I go to jail for 9 months. So, I could have avoided all of that, but I didn't do anything wrong, and that's why I went on to trial, which actually ended up never officially happening because, well, I found an attorney who was willing to take on the issue of the constitutionality of the no trespass order. And in a lot of cases, sometimes charges will even get dropped right before trial, as happened with my disorderly conduct arrest when I was participating in the drinking game at City Council chambers here in Keene. So, there's the right, and there's never a real totally right choice, I don't think, in any of these cases. I mean, because, if you take the plea deal, then you're admitting guilt to something that maybe you didn't do, or to something that you did
don't think is wrong,
but isn't wrong. And